Hello, for everybody who does not yet know me, I am Alice Antoinette. I am a freelance model of about 10 years, and I've been running events domestically for about 5, and now internationally, I just ran my second event. So I decided to run the first Muses Takeover event in Tulum, Mexico. Thought that that was close to home, relatively, to the United States. And now I decided to run the second event in Bali. And so this video is my testimonial on how our Bali trip experience went, and I might touch on Tulum as well and maybe future plans. So whenever I decide to run an event somewhere, I always think, okay, have I been there before? Do I know the lay of the land already? And so when I ran Tulum, I had already been there before. I had actually attended model photography events in Tulum previously, so I felt very confident in running an event in Tulum myself. But for Bali, I had actually been to Bali on my own time, and I had done some local modeling in the area when I visited, but I have never attended a model photography event in Bali itself. But when I think about starting an event somewhere, I don't necessarily need to have the experience of going to a model photography event in that area. I just need to know the lay of the land, and I need to know if all the logistics are going to make sense. So usually just my experience as a traveler is enough to accomplish that. So when I organized this trip to Bali, I actually had a lot more help here than I normally do for events. So the plus side of me being a model and traveling and that sort of thing for my job is I meet photographers and other industry creatives in the other parts of the world that I visit. So here in Bali, I was very happy that I had my good friend Michael, who's a photographer here on the island, who was able to help with the current logistics of how the island has changed since the last time I had visited. So for example, when I started organizing this trip, I had already heard that the traffic here in Bali had increased since the last time I was here, because I actually traveled during the pandemic. I really wasn't supposed to be here during the time. I had a funny visa that led me to come here, but anyway, that's a whole story for my personal channel. Anyway, so when I was talking with Michael, he was like, oh yeah, you know, the traffic's also increased, but also here's like what's politically going on. Here's what's going on if there's like any natural disasters. Like as I was setting up this event, I had heard that there was flooding in the area about maybe a month out from the event starting, so we had already sold out all the tickets. So I was like, oh, I need to check in with all of the housing that we have sorted out and make sure that nothing that we rented was flooded. But everything ended up being okay. I checked in with all of the housing and nothing had been flooded, but if it had been, we would have been prepared to move the group to a different location. So it's really nice when you can have some people on the ground that really help with the event planning side of things. So immediately, as soon as I opened up the signups for people to come to this event, we had immense interest. So many people wanted to come join. And so this event ended up selling out within a matter of like a month. Because it's such an endeavor to come out this far from the United States, and most of my clientele with photographers, models are United States based at this time. I hope to also expand more internationally as far as clients and models in the future. But anyway, that's another topic for another time. So I had to talk to each potential client that wanted to sign up. So photographers, brands that may have wanted to send their products here, I had to talk to them about how confident we are in handling them and making sure that they had the best experience of their life, maybe. So I know that Bali's a bucket list place for a lot of people, and it was definitely a bucket list place for me to go to. So when I first went, I went like on my own. I kind of like just went with some friends and hung out. And I was like, you know what? I really could see, because I had been to so many model photography events, I was like, oh, I could definitely see myself eventually running an event here. So when I first launched the signups for the Bali trip, I was just blown away by how many people were interested, and to know that I'm not the only one that thinks this place is so cool. I really loved the first time that I came to Bali, and I wanted so badly to bring friends, people who wanted to come and create and make the most of the nature and the culture here. And so when we all finally got here and I saw everybody creating in all the various places that we ended up taking them to, I was just blown away by that. I was just starstruck that it ended up all coming together as I saw it like years ago. I'm just so happy that the experience that I had in Bali, I could repeat again. And by the time all the photographers and models had signed up to come, I loved the group. I absolutely loved the final group that decided to come, and I think that we all ended up being the best of friends by the end of the trip. So if I were to describe Bali in one or two words, it's like an island paradise. And it was very adventurous. So everyone hypes up Bali, right? It's like this beautiful island paradise. Well, it really is. I think that the locations are super diverse, which also adds to the adventure side of things. So I love that the group got to experience both of those sides of things, where they got to experience the good weather and the different areas that we went to as a part of the paradise, which also leads to the adventure. I think that they had a very adventurous time with the light hiking that we did and just getting to see those beautiful locations that we went to. Like I said before, I ran 2 events. So I ran Tulum and I ran Bali. And I won't do too many comparisons because I definitely want everybody that's watching this to know more about Bali. But I'd say, just as an event coordinator, that when I ran my Tulum trip, it was definitely a learning experience. Like, I had never ran my own event. I've been to many model photography events, but I never ran my own. So when I came to Bali, I thought, okay, well, I already have the experience of kind of knowing how the group is going to react to travel and meeting new people. So overall, I feel that for Bali, I was very prepared as far as knowing how the dynamic was going to be, and also just taking my experiences from Tulum and applying it here. So as far as favorite locations, it's really hard to pick just one. I think my group probably liked the waterfall the most, and we did take them to 2 waterfalls, so I should be more specific. We went to this one waterfall called Goagiri Waterfall, GGC Waterfall, and it's a very less visited waterfall. And I didn't quite know what to expect going there because it was also my first time going, but I had done tons of research on it and was like, what's the best location that looks cool to bring the group to? And they ended up loving that one. It was the first grand location we went to, and I think that I would repeat that one again in the future. And I will make a mention that we went to Jatilui, so that's a rice terrace, UNESCO World Site rice terrace. And it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I think the group, even though I was a little bit concerned because it rained there, that they had a great time anyway. We got in a lot of photo shoots before the rain. And of course the beaches were absolutely magical and beautiful as well. We got to enjoy some amazing sunsets there. So as you can see, I can't pick just one favorite. They were all amazing. I don't think any location was underwhelming at all by the least. I think that they were all incredible, and if I ever bring the group back to Bali, I would absolutely repeat that. I would take them to all of those locations and hopefully more. So as far as the most diverse location we ended up going to, that surprised me because I had researched the black sand beach, and I had been to it before actually. So I had been to the black sand beach a few years ago, but the tide was higher at the time. So it had come into the cliffs on the end of the beach more, so I couldn't go around the other side. So when we went back with the group, I was pleasantly shocked to see that the tide was lower and that you could go around the cliff and find more stuff on the other side to do, which would have still been amazing, is bringing the group to this black sand beach area where you have the black sand beach. It's like this beautiful black sand and glitter almost in the texture of the sand. And the rock cliff face is incredible as well. But as an added bonus, when we went around the cliff edge to the other side, there was also like these shallow pools of water with moss. So there was like this green moss and pools of water that just made these beautiful reflections. And there was also a little waterfall on the other side. And there were also these little crevices that the models could get into where they could make some really awesome abstract shapes. So that was a mouthful. But that was what surprised me, I think, the most. So I think that the way that we planned the locations was awesome. It was perfect. So as far as anything being underrated goes, I'm glad that I took the group to Jatilui Rice Terrace because I've stayed in Bali now a little bit longer than the group, and I also went on my own personal trip over to Tegling. I'll have it listed in the description, but I went to that one, and I think most groups go to that one because it's in the middle of the island. It's a little bit closer by maybe about 30 minutes or so if you take the group from any given location, but because of the way it's laid out and stuff, I liked the Jatilui Rice Terrace better. So I'm glad that we brought the group there. I'm glad that we skipped the other rice terrace just because it's a little bit more compact and there's more specific angles that you have to get in that rice terrace versus the Jatilui Rice Terrace that we took everybody to. It was a lot more spread out at Jatilui, and you also got this beautiful view of the mountain volcano. I think it's a volcano that's in the distance. Beautiful clouds surrounding it. It's just surreal. Absolutely beautiful. So funny enough, the next question being like, if anything stopped me dead in my tracks with the views, I would definitely say that mountain volcano that's you can see from Jatalui Rice Terrace. And then so you have the rice terraces and then the mountain and the clouds. And then if it does rain, then you get like this beautiful rain showers and stuff in the background. Beautiful, beautiful for absolutely everything. Selfies, photos, professionally, video. Oh my gosh, absolutely stunning location. So funny enough, even though Goagiri Waterfall was the group's favorite waterfall, it was my most challenging location. I was afraid when we got there, and the hike was fine. It was mostly flat, and then we went down to the waterfall. But when we got to Goagiri, everything that I had researched online had said that you could just walk right up to it, but there was nowhere that I saw that you could do that. So you either had to go, the trail split in two, so you'd either have to go to the left, and then you'd have to go on this little man-made raft, and you'd have like somebody that was there, like a local, helping you cross the river over to the waterfall on this little raft. Or you could go down the right trail and you could go down this ladder, and you could then see the waterfalls if you go down the ladder. But the ladder was kind of dicey. It was like, it was sturdy, but it was kind of scary. I don't think people had noticed that they would have to go climbing down. So when we first got there, everybody kind of stopped and stared, and they had to process it, and I was like, oh god, no. Like, I was worried that they weren't going to go down there and go check it out, and I was worried that I had just wasted half the day bringing them to a waterfall that was inaccessible. But people did make the effort. They gave it a try, they went down, and it ended up being probably the best location that we went to. And once you got down to Goagiri Waterfall, there was a beautiful cave where you could look back out at the waterfall, and the waterfall itself had all of these grandiose different locations within the waterfall that made different waterfalls. Oh, it's so beautiful. It was definitely worth the risk of going to a location that I had not previously been to, but I researched heavily. And even though we ran into a sort of hiccup of confidence level, I just had to make sure that the group felt as confident as I did. And so even though I had a pit in my stomach that I was like, oh man, maybe I messed up on this one, I still maintained my confidence and told the group, hey, let's give it a try. I'm gonna climb down. And actually, if you want to hear a funny story, I dislocated my shoulder like 4 days before the event. It works fine now. But I had dislocated my shoulder, so I was in a sling, which you'll probably see in more behind the scenes videos and stuff. But I literally was going down. I went over on the raft at first with my arm in the sling, and then I thought on the way back, I'm like, wow, the whole process of getting over the river was so intense. I better just like try to go up the ladder, and I'll just use this arm for balance and then just like bear it up with the second arm. And when I started doing that at the end, I was behind everyone to make sure they were all out. And as I was going up the ladder, everyone was like, oh my gosh, Alice, don't do that. You're gonna hurt yourself. And I was like, no, I'm fine. So if I can get up and down the ladder with my bum arm that I had just injured very badly, like 4 days prior, it was okay. It was not an inaccessible location after all. And it was definitely an adventurous experience for everybody. So as far as our dining experience, I wanted to kind of group this all into one because it makes it more cohesive, I think, to talk about it that way. So whenever I cast for models and I ask photographers who are joining, I always ask for allergies or any food preferences and that sort of thing. So we always accommodate for that sort of thing. So we did have somebody who was allergic to nuts. So we ended up making sure that every place that we visited, we made sure that there were no nuts that were involved in any of the dishes that the person that was attending was going to be eating, or anything near them that would be that case. So there's so many options for dining. And so we made sure with the group to take them to nice dining every single day. We ended up actually, so we provided pastries in the mornings. We were actually by this wonderful pastry shop, actually 2 of them. And so people went and got their pastries in the mornings that we were happy to pay for. But a lot of people just kind of went on their own and got their own stuff before we kind of like opened up for the day. So we were just like, oh, that's cool. But we were happy to provide if they wanted to. As the day went on, we went and visited the first location, went for a lunch, and then we went to a second location and then had a really nice dinner. So we would always just pick places because Bali belly is really prevalent. It's like this food poisoning that people can get if you're not familiar when they visit visit Bali, but we just made sure we checked all of the different reviews on places. I also asked my local friend Michael what his suggestions were, and our driver, Mr. Murta, we also asked him what he thought was best, and so he had friends that had very reputable restaurants. So all of the dining out that we did, which most all of it was dining out, and only for the exception on the last day, which I'll talk about too. Great food, different options, anything from Italian, Greek, local Balinese cuisine, all kinds of different cuisines. At the end of the trip, our local photographer guy, Michael, he's actually a chef for his main career job. So he's a great cook. He offered us to cook on the last day. And so on the last day of our adventures, we ended up staying at the villa and having photo shoots there, and then we had a nice lunch made by Michael, which was really wonderful. So thank you, Michael, for cooking for us. So when people travel to a model photography event in another country, I think that they're striving to get something that they wouldn't otherwise get at home. The environment here is beautiful. The models were beautiful. The teamwork together was absolutely wonderful. So when people travel out to a model photography event, at me as a coordinator, I try to encompass all of those things so that when they go home, they look back on the event and they go, wow, I really was able to work with the group and with the environment and with the beautiful talent there to be able to create something everlasting, incredible, amazing, all of the things. So that's just encompassing all international events, right? But when you're talking about Bali specifically, it's a unique island because it has a Hindu roots. Most of the other islands in Indonesia are Muslim in nature, so it's a little bit harder to run bikini events at those places. But with this sort of event here in Bali, people were able to take up on the beautiful nature and be able to express themselves freely. And Bali has landscapes like I've never seen before in any other place in the world, and I've traveled to a lot of places. So because of Bali's unique landscapes, like its waterfalls, the beaches, and how it even has different color beaches, and the rice fields, you have like one major UNESCO World Heritage Site, and then you have another one too. Like you have so many options for different places. And with this group, we only scratched the surface of like how much there is to do in Bali. There's so many different areas to explore. And so I wanted to share that with this group because even though I had never attended a model photography event here in Bali, I wanted that to happen because there's just so much potential here for people to create beautiful things with the beautiful surroundings around them that you really can't get anywhere else. So for me, what I really love about the type of events that I run here is the ability that for the models to model together in a group. So whenever the models model together in their little groups, I always love either being a part of that or I just love to see the photographers capturing that. There was a group shoot at the waterfalls with 3 models and they were all together. They were kind of far away, so I didn't see which ones they were actually. They were modeling together in these beautiful art poses amongst the water, and I think that the resulting photos had like long exposures where the water was like streaming over them and it just looked very soft and very pretty. So I loved that about that group shoot. And then there was also a beautiful group shoot out on the black sand beach with 3 girls, including me, modeling the flying dresses, and it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful with the different colors amongst the dark sands, added really nice contrast. And so I really love watching the group shoots and being a part of them too. So when it comes to wardrobe at our events, we love to take on sponsors. So people who like to send in their different clothing brands, such as bikinis or like the crochet or the flying dresses, and we like to showcase those on the models here. And the models here are very grateful to wear those items because a lot of them, they don't know exactly what to travel with as far as clothing, so when they have sponsored items here, they love to make the most use of those. So for this trip, we ended up having 2 clothing brands where we had the Spirit and Thread crochet and high flying dress. The models looked absolutely stunning in the wardrobe, and our team ended up capturing the content beautifully. And so when we went and post-processed all of the content within the first week, honestly, I'm very impressed with how fast our team worked. They ended up sending out the content to the companies, and when the companies got back to us, they were like, wow, this is amazing content. At these events, I absolutely love providing beautiful models and talented photographers and staff and wonderful locations for our brands to be able to say, hey, we're gonna send our clothing and get some amazing content back. So when I run these types of events, I like to provide the wardrobe. Not all the wardrobe, of course, but I feel that the models that we invite may be like models who are growing and they're learning and they're also trying to grow their own brands and that sort of thing. So they may not have all the clothing that I think would look good in a location, as well as whatever they provide. I'm also happy to provide clothing for them to wear. That way the styling and the wardrobe and everything looks like it fits and makes sense in the area. And so we were able to style the models for every location with every type of outfit that we brought. So I had supplemental bikinis, I had supplemental fabrics, I had the flying dresses and the crochet, which all looked beautiful in this area. And in providing the model's wardrobe, I think it helps elevate the photographers' portfolios as well. We have a lot of photographers who like to shoot nude concepts of the models, but sometimes we like to factor in some clothing, like, hey, you know, this might look good, this, you might be able to post this on social media later. I know it's a big problem that they run into a lot. As well as having models on our team who model nude concepts, they also are happy to wear fashion items, and I think that the fashion wardrobe items that we help provide, and then maybe some of the models bring, helps elevate photographers' portfolios to the next level as well. So I've been to many events before where they were mostly just like art events. And what I like to do with the events here is I like to have a mashup of art concepts and clothing. So when we have the model's clothing and the clothing that I provide, whether it be like my own personal wardrobe or companies and brands that like to send in their products, it gives the models and photographers a little bit of variety to be able to shoot not only their art concepts, but to be able to shoot commercial concepts as well. That way they can post it on social media, and they can also share on websites and that sort of thing. I've learned over time as a model who is mostly known for my art modeling, it's still important, especially with the deletion of many social media accounts and that sort of thing, to prevent that, to have content out there that you can showcase of clothing, of fashion, of something a little bit more presentable to mass audiences. So instead of just shooting for the art network of people, art industry, it's important to get a little bit of both. So if you're a photographer who likes to shoot mainly art concepts, we love to accommodate that here, but we also give the opportunity for you to be able to mix and match wardrobe and to be able to get some looks that you can really put out there on social media without any repercussions. And if there's photographers that come to these events that only shoot fashion, that's totally okay. We're happy to accommodate anyone who likes to shoot any sort of genres, as long as the models are comfortable with it. We love that here. So my happiest memory from this event really is almost the last day. I know that sounds terrible, but on the last day, everybody who had came to the event came up to me and they all expressed their gratitude for how much it impacted them and it changed their life. And it blows me away whenever people tell me that. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I impacted people in such a positive way. And for me, that is what makes everything about these worth it for me to run. Even if there's hiccups we run into, or if there's anything negative that I run into as an event coordinator, and then I see everyone being happy at the end, given my efforts to persevere through any sort of things that I run into as a coordinator. Seeing that they have a seamless and enjoyable time is what makes it wonderful for me. I was so happy when people came up to me at the end and they were like, Alice, you did such a great job. Thank you for inviting us. And I was like, oh, I'm just so glad and grateful that they want to come and be a part of it. So when I first launched my events in Tulum, I was worried that I wasn't going to get any signups, nobody would be interested, that the models wouldn't come. Like any doomsday thought, I was like, yeah, there's no way. I mean, I was still gonna try, so I was like, maybe there's a way that this is all gonna work. So when Tulum sold out and the models all wanted to be there and they all participated, I was like, wow, you know, maybe this will actually work. Maybe I'll go and take the event elsewhere. So when I structured it to come to Bali, and then I saw all the models came and all the photographers who signed up, again, they signed up within a month of first hearing about the event. And so the sense of community from the first event, really since the first domestic event I ran, and then the internationals, but really on the international front, the community has grown even bigger. That's really a huge reason why I run these, is to create more community for models and photographers, a place to leverage and to grow their brands and to go to the next level with their modeling or photography. So for me, the most rewarding part of this trip was seeing everybody come together and knowing that when they went home, they were going to have incredible content from another place in the world. I couldn't be any more happy that not only they made incredible content, but they took amazing memories with them as well. So, any future location plans? I definitely still have Iceland on the docket, which I had mentioned in my last testimonial video, like of Tulum. When I talked about in Tulum, I said, we'll go to Bali, then we'll go to Iceland. I think I'm actually going to be pushing Iceland out to 2027 because on the same dates is going to be the eclipse, which would be super cool, don't get me wrong, but then we'll have like a ton of tourists to contend with. So I think we're going to push that out a little bit later, and there's still a lot of wonderful places I'd like to go. I'd love to do a resort sellout one day, and we've even started talking with other creatives in the industry about teaming up for different events, so maybe there'll be mashups in the future if everything goes well. And overall, I'm just open-minded about the next locations that we have in mind. I definitely don't mind repeating locations either, like maybe we'll go back to Tulum next. Maybe we'll go back to Bali in the future. It's all up in the air right now, planning for different locations, and I can't wait to see where we end up going next. So if I were to summarize this whole trip, I would say that the locations were incredible. The food couldn't be beat. There was such a variety and it was all tasty. The models were super upbeat and outgoing. They were definitely happy to go to every location. And I think that the photographers were very inspired to shoot at these locations. Again, I'm Alice Antoinette and I'm the owner and creator of Muses Takeover. If you would like to learn more about these events or possibly join us in the future, feel free to check out the links down in the description below.